Welcome to the DEI Effect. I'm your host, Travis Brown, and we are back with Gabrielle Flowers Raider. She is my true social media big baller shot caller from Gabe and Babe TV. Hey, welcome back.
Thanks for having me back.
The DEI Effect is really about talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion. What does that mean to you in your guys' world?
So, in our world, it's all about having the opportunity to even be there. We, in a lot of social media spaces and a lot of brands, like we've gone through all of this before, like it unfolded through our, before our eyes in 2020, where brands were like scrounging to get, diverse creators and things because they were getting called out. So for us, it's just being invited to even participate. And then once we're there, being treated fairly. Like, it's not okay to just have me on this list of, 5 white girls and you have me and then I'm getting paid the least. Like, it's not okay. So it's about being invited and then treating fairly while we're there.
As brands, as I sit back and I watch commercials today, it's really cool to see how brands have evolved, and you see Black faces.
Yes.
We both are in biracial or interracial marriages, and so we have biracial kids, and so like seeing that represented. Because as a kid, I never saw myself represented. Right?
Absolutely not.
What does it feel like to be a part of that story for brands, showcasing that?
It's great. Like, it feels good because we're not that far removed from when it was illegal. So to see families that look like ours being represented is like, and being a part of that is like, I've had messages of people that are like, I just love watching you guys because you look like my family. You remind me of my mom and dad. Like, and it's just like, to be that is amazing.
My wife is white, and so the Black male, white female is almost a normalcy.
So much more of a normal. People don't bat an eye, I don't feel like.
Not anymore. In my life, they batted a lot of eyes. Okay?
Yeah.
But your dynamic is Black female to white male. I can't imagine it's always been easy.
Oh, absolutely not. It was probably the hardest thing I had to get over to even go forward with Chad, because I was very concerned with how people would receive me and the judgment and what people would think of me. Like, even I feel like to this day, when people find out that my husband is white, I almost sometimes feel like I have to go the extra mile to prove to people like I'm a Black woman. I am not that type of a Black woman. No offense to anybody, but like, people, they automatically judge you when they find out that you have a white spouse, and it's like, here we go again.
and obviously you have sorority ties to deep Black female sorority ties, which is
Alpha Kappa Alpha.
Right?
Yes.
But even that sorority relationship, and not just that, but the rest of the world too, kind of come together, going like, why are you with the white dude?
Oh, absolutely. Like, I'm in a sorority. I went to a HBCU, and it's just like, so you just don't love your people? And it's like, come on, are we not past that? Like, I can't help, no, Chad was not my type. He was not going to be the person that I picked out. But this is what God had for me. And I think that it's just so difficult. I think most of the pushback we got in the beginning came from Black men, more so than Black women, which is, surprising to me. But I would just be like, really? Like, I mean, my daddy is Black. My uncles is Black. My granddaddy is Black. Like, I'm Black. Come on. Like,
you're like, we're still doing this.
We're still doing this in 2022.
As we talk about you as you and Chad as social media influencers, you got 360,000 subscribers on YouTube. And we talked about this on the Mojo Up Live, that like these big brands all over the world, hundreds of them pay you to do work, right? When you think about that as a Black female, that these historically white organizations are now coming to you to say, help us.
Yeah.
What's that feel like?
You know what? It's a good feeling. It's really awesome too, because we work with so many brands that I grew up using. And it's just like full circle moments when they come to us, like even something as simple as like General Mills. I grew up eating Cheerios. We all love Cheerios, right? I have so many like personalized Cheerio boxes, like it says Gabrielle instead of Cheerios. And to me, like Chad is like, what are you gonna do with all these boxes of cereal? I'm like, you don't understand. Like, we're talking about General Mills here, like Cheerio box with my name on it, little old me, you know, Black girl that nobody was thinking about. It's just, it's very powerful when you think about it. It is powerful. And then you get kind of sad because you're like, man, why isn't there more of this? Like it's happening, but it's very slow moving, you know? It's just like we should be further along than we are.
When YouTube came out with their list a couple years ago for Black creators, like you guys have been on that list. When things like that happen, do you feel a sense of like, well, I am a Black creator, but we are this, so am I okay or am I not okay? Like, do you have to deal with that?
Yeah, it was, you know, when we went, they put the list out, they invited us to the whole like YouTube Black Summit, and I felt so uncomfortable at first because I thought that people were judging me because I came up in there with a white guy. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure there were some people, but most people were very receptive because at the end of the day, I am still a Black woman and I'm a part of the channel just as much as he is. So, I mean, if not more, because I am pretty much the face of it. So I had to remind myself like, no, I deserve to be here. It's okay that he's, you know, but our company is a Black owned company. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I wanted to make sure of that when we formed it and we made it, I was like, it needs to be, 51%. It is a minority company. Yeah.
Black female owned company.
Absolutely.
Which obviously is a whole nother caveat. You know, as you guys are in this space, you know, carving out your lane from a business perspective now, you know, did you feel like you had to prove yourself from a business perspective, like we deserve as much money? We know what these contracts are going to be like. You know, like, oh, you don't have money for us, but like what was that dynamic from the DEI lens? So
it's interesting because I always say that I feel like we got along easier because Chad is the one who's doing. Now, sometimes brands, they think they're talking to me, but they're actually talking to Chad. Yeah. But when they do know that it's him, not surprisingly, it switches. It's not surprising. But I think there's a little bit more of respect there, and we are offered more. And when we push back and they accept the negotiations better because they come from him. It's very unfortunate, but he is a white man, and here we are.
So how does that change? Like, how do we get to a point where like, and I'm saying this because I love your husband, he's a dear friend of mine, but it doesn't take a white man to represent us to get what we need.
It shouldn't. You're absolutely correct, and I wish that I had the answer for that. But I think that it's just going to take more of us stepping up and stepping out and becoming, you know, that figure and not taking no for an answer, because there in so many instances we know what can be done, or I know the budget that the brand has, and it's like, you're not gonna play me, like, come on here, you know what I'm saying? But it takes us being confident enough to speak up and stand up and, you know, speak out about it.
You have two, I'm gonna say small children, you know, because they're not, I have a big, you know, my big is 21, so that's big,
we're not
right?
quite
you
there
know,
yet.
You know, when you think about what you guys have been blessed to be able to do, take where you guys come from, you're here now, you're in this space, like, what is what you guys have been able to do? What does that mean for them? You know, what does that create for them and the opportunities for them?
You know, I think the biggest thing, when I think about it, what I am excited about for them is that they've been able to see what it looks like to live outside of corporate world, what it looks like to run your own company, what it looks like to have the flexibility to travel or work from home or work from wherever. Like, I think it just opens their eyes to the possibility that, you know, this is a path I can take as well. Like, you can take any path you want to, but you can very well do the same thing that we've done if you want to do it. So that just makes me excited because, you know, I didn't grow up seeing that. Like, you know, my mom worked a regular job. My dad did. Like, I I don't know where the entrepreneurial spirit came from, because I just, corporate world was not for me. So I was always like, I'm gonna have to figure this out. But yeah, I think it's great for them to just grow up and see that, and just be like, okay, this is possible.
You mentioned earlier that 90% of your audience is Black female women.
Yeah.
What is that? I mean, obviously that says that you have such a strong relationship and they relate to you as a Black woman. Does it say anything around the fact that the white women aren't as equally engaged, or is it really just a benefactor of you audience relation? I mean, the reason why I'm asking this question is because when you said it, I was like, oh.
You were shocked?
I was very shocked.
Really?
Never, and probably because I never really put any real thought into who is your actual audience.
Yeah.
Because I'm on a subscriber, and I'm
Right.
I'm black
Right.
male, or Bree's a subscriber, white. So I'm just curious to know, like, when you look at that, does it mean anything to you?
It's one of those things where every time I see, somebody that follows me that's white, or a subscriber I see, I'm like, oh, we got another white person. Look at that. Like, where are they coming from? Because honestly, I think we gravitate towards who we're like. So it's not a surprise that Black women are watching me, because I don't think that a lot of white women, not that they can't relate to me, but they may not give themselves the opportunity to relate to me. Or they may see my husband and be offended that he's married to me. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I think that that's probably why our audience is the way he is. And to be quite honest, like, my husband don't have no white friends. So, like, you know what I'm saying? He got a few, but he's not bringing in the white. I'm like, why you ain't bringing in your people? Like, come on.
You got to pull your weight. You got to pull your audience weight.
And he's like, they're not here for me.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Last thing as we wrap out this show is that, when you think about where we're moving and trying to create more equitable opportunities for somebody out there that's trying to understand how to navigate this space as a Black male or female, and going, how do I really get into space? How do I make this an opportunity for me? What does that look like? And what would you encourage them to do?
Like in the social media space? Okay. You got to put yourself out there. I talk to so many people who have this dream of, oh, I want to do this, or I want to start this channel, or I want to show up, but. And it's like, you have to show up. Like, nobody's going to know until you put yourself out there and give yourself grace to get better. Like, you got to start where you are, and you got to show up, and you got to get better. And put yourself in these positions. Reach out to these brands that you want to work with. Like, all people can say is no. So it's like, if you don't give yourself a shot, then you're not going to get anything,
Well, thank you for being a trailblazer. As some of our dear friends, we know you guys super well. But I love watching the clips. I love probably watching you guys do the TikTok videos right now.
I know,
more than anything else.
It's so much
fun.
And
even though when I first heard your podcast, I was like, man, how can you be that happy? I actually love and respect your guys' relationship.
Thank you.
I know it's not all perfect, but it's awesome. It's genuine, and you guys are just doing some great things. And I appreciate you coming by.
Thanks for having me.
DEI Effect. It's a wrap.